Hello, everyone. I'm Fyruz Khan, and today I'm back with a brand new class. Um, we had to finish this chapter, and it's been long that I didn't continue with this chapter specifically. So we'll finish it off today. Let's wait for some students to join, and we shall start as soon as possible. If you haven't liked our Facebook page, please just type Fyrus Education Services and just press the like button. We have plenty of live videos that we upload every day. We also have a beautiful YouTube channel. We have around 60 videos. All the live sessions are also posted on YouTube. There is a synchronized separate playlist, which is very easy to find. So I would recommend you to subscribe to our channel. So there are a lot of viewers watching. Let me start right now. So today I want to start with something that is in some ways substantial. So when I talk confused, so let's talk about that. Okay, if you think about forecast, which I did in the last chapter, forecast means you predict, you assume based on what is happening at this moment, based on the external situation, based on the external environment. For example, now we have a very bad pandemic, so the sales for next month will not be good. Let's say the sales for November or the sales forecast for December, let's say, will be 50,000 instead of 3 lakhs. Why it's 50,000? Because of pandemic. We know the situation is bad. We know the past sales has not been good, and this is why the forecast is also low. So forecast is a prediction of what has happened in the past. You look at the past chain of events, and then a result is predicted based on that. So it is not your wish, it is not your objective. You look at what has happened in the past. Now, if in the past the sales has been good in the last month, then probably there's a high chance of the sales being good in the next month, in the coming month also, right? But if the past sales are not good last month, then the coming months will also be bad. So that's how sales forecasting is done. But on the contrary, if you look at budget, budget is set by individuals or businesses depending on them, depending on the objective of the business, depending on what they intend to achieve, or depending on what they want or what the managers of the business want. Okay, let's say I want to cut cost by 50%. I want to cut cost in the transport department by 50%. So that's what I want, and that's a budget. Right? I want to spend 50,000 on my phone. That's what I want. That's my objective. Okay, it is not based on any kind of environment or situation. It is what you want. It is what you set. It is what you intend to achieve. So that is the main difference between a budget and forecast. For example, let's say the government is building a bridge and the budget for that bridge is 50 crores. That means they want to spend 50 crores, not much. Okay, not more than that, but within 50 crores is their budget. Okay, so that is the main point of differentiation between a budget and a forecast. And I thought it would be useful informing it to you. So today's chapter is on budgets. Okay, we did the first part. We're going to finish the second part. Now, if you look at budget, there are three ways. There are three steps: preparation of plans, comparison of plans, and then analysis differences. How many steps? Three simple steps. You first set the budget. That's your first step. Then you compare the results with the budget, what you've achieved and what have you set before, and you look at the difference, the variance. For example, we did this in the last class. So see, there are three steps. This is your projected cost. This is your budget. Your budget for mortgage or rent was $1,000. For phone, it was £54. For electricity, it was £44. For petrol, it was £22. That's your budget. That's step one. Okay. What have you achieved? Let's look at that. For mortgage, yes, you paid 1,000. For phone, you predicted that you had to pay £54, but you ended up spending 100. For electricity, it was £44, but you ended up spending £56. For petrol, it was £22. You ended up spending £28. So you look at what you've achieved and look at the differences. And then the last part is your variance, your differences. For mortgage, there's no difference. Now, the bigger the difference is, the more problematic it is going to be. Now, for mortgage, it's the difference is £0. You estimated that you had to spend £1,000 on your house, and you did spend £1,000 on your house. That means your prediction was clear. Your prediction was accurate. Okay, you were just spot on. You were immaculate. But things goes wrong here. In phone, you predicted that you were going to spend £54, but you ended up spending £100. Therefore, the variance, the difference is £46. That's a very huge variance. So you need to look at that and see, why do you have such a huge variance? What is the reason? Um, what did go wrong? Did you probably you made some international calls, or probably you've used a lot of internet? Probably you were traveling outside the country, and you've used international roaming. Something, I don't know. So whenever there's a big difference, when you see that you went over the budget or it's really under the budget, you look at the difference variance and you try to ask those questions, right? So the first step is preparation of plan. You set a budget. You have an objective. I told you budget is about objective. I want to spend £1,000 for my house. I want to spend £50 on my phone bill, or we want to spend 50 crores on this bridge. That's preparation of plans, means your objective, what you want to intend to achieve. Okay, it's the objective of the business, it's the objective of the managers, it's the objective of the individuals, right? So that is preparation of plan, step one. Step two is comparison. Okay, what was your actual budget and what have you achieved? If we simply go here, you can see. So your projected cost was this, and this is what you've achieved. So you just look at it and look at the differences, right? So that's how it should be. So that's your second step. And nowadays, because of technological development, a lot of data are available. Whenever you achieve something, you can compare, you can look at the differences, you can create charts, pie graphs, bar graphs, histograms. It's quite easy. So compare your plans with the actual result, and look at how accurate you were. Okay, or if you were wrong, why you were wrong. And number three is the most important step: analysis of variance. So look at the differences. As I told you, if the difference is higher, if the difference is greater, like for example, in the case of phone, you predicted that you were going to spend £54, but you ended up spending £100. So if you minus the variance, the difference is £46. That means your prediction for the phone budget was not accurate. So you want to go back and check, why weren't you accurate? Why did you overspend? What happened? Were you traveling internationally? Did you make a lot of calls? Was it only for this month? Is it always like this? If it's always like this, then you need to change your budget next time. So you analyze the variance. Okay. Um, uh, are there any external influences? So these are the three steps of budgets. You prepare the plan, you set an objective, which is set by individuals, businesses, managers, and then whatever you achieve, you compare the result with your budget, compare actual result with your plans, with your budget, and then you analyze the variance. Okay, why we were wrong or why were we right? What happened? Okay. So that's that. If you have any questions so far, you can comment in the comment section. We are doing great with the class. I will take your question. Even if you want to comment later, you can. We are always logged into the page, and we will answer you. Now, when we're talking about variance, what is a variance? A variance is a difference between the budget that you set and what you've achieved. Again, if we look at the budget here, so variance is the difference between your budget, between your projected cost and your actual cost. That's the variance. That's the difference. Okay, and variances can be of two kinds. Again, it can be favorable, it can be adverse. Favorable means plus, adverse means minus. Okay, and we're going to have a look at that. Now, when do you have a favorable budget? Now, budget can be set in two terms: sales revenue and cost. Now, if you think about sales revenue means inflow, money coming in. Let's say your budget for sales revenue was 25,000 pounds, but you achieved 29,000. So that's a plus. That's a good thing. Sales revenue means coming in, not going out. So when it's coming in, if it's higher, that means it's favorable. So your budget was 25,000, but you've actually achieved 29,000 pounds. So it's it's a favorable budget by 4,000 pounds. So your budget is favorable. Costs means outflow. Let's say you projected cost of 20,000 pound, but you spent 18,000 pound. Now costs should be less. Now if costs are less than the budget, again it means favorable. All right. So you have a budget favorable of 2,000 pounds. So in these cases, you will have a favorable variance. Budgets can be of two kinds: sales revenue and costs most of the time. Now, if your sales revenue inflow is more, then it's favorable. Your budget was 25,000, but you achieved 29,000. It's more, so it's favorable. Costs should always be less. Your planned budget was 20,000 pound, but you ended up spending less, 18,000 pounds. So there's a favorable variance of 2,000 pound, right? Now let's talk about adverse variance. Let's take the same example. Again, sales revenue and cost. Sales revenue means money coming in. Let's say you were supposed to receive 25,000 pound as sales revenue, but you received 23,000 pound. It's less. So there is an adverse, there's a minus budget of 2,000 pound. Let's talk about cost. If outflow, let's say your outflow was 20,000 pound, but costs were 20,000 pound, but you ended up spending 24,000 pound. So you will have an adverse budget of um, of 4,000 pound. I made a mistake here. So you will have an adverse budget of 4,000 pound. You predicted that you were about to spend 20,000, but you ended up spending 24,000. Okay, so I have shown you favorable and adverse variances. Do not get confused. Sales revenue means inflow, so it should be higher. Costs means outflow, it should be lower. Okay, and these are the two examples that you have. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to comment down on the comment section. We will take your question. Yeah, we've talked about that, and we know budgets can be of two kinds: sales revenue and costs. Costs can be of different kinds: wages, overheads, sales revenue. So do have a look at that. Okay, and just make sure that any change in variance, any change in this will affect the profit level, will affect the main profit level. So be careful with that, right? Any change in the number, in this number, will affect the profit levels. Yeah, let's go ahead if there are any conditions. Now, using variances for decision making. Now, you have to look at the difference and ask yourself, okay, my budget was, for example, 54 pounds for a phone, but I ended up spending 100 pounds. Why was it? What is the reason? Okay, we were supposed to do a sales revenue of 20,000 pound, but we ended up doing only 17,000 pound. There's a difference. There's an adverse budget of 3,000 pound. What is the main reason? Okay, you have to look at the main reason. Probably, let's say, because you were charging a high price. Probably there was a lot of competition. Probably your competitor launched a very new competitor product. Okay. Probably your advertising campaign was not strong enough compared to your competitors. And that's why your sales revenue were less than your compared to your actual budget. Okay. So these can be the reason. And you should look at the differences and find out why it did not match your actual budget. What happened? You have to go back and check, right? That's how it should be. When we're talking about adverse budget, let's say your budget was £25,000 for sales revenue, but if you've received £23,000, £2,000 less, you have to question yourself. Why did we do £2,000 less in sales revenue? Was it because of competition? Was it because of recession? Was it because of pandemic? Was it because of competitors? So you should analyze the variance for decision making. Okay. Now, the last but not the least, let's talk about the difficulties of budgeting. If you have any questions so far, do not hesitate to comment down on the comment section. I will take your question. Now, the main problem with budgeting is these are not actual figures. You're based on historical data. You're based on past data. You're making a judgment. It's a prediction. You're assuming. So when you assume, when it's prediction, it may not be accurate because your judgment is based on past data. That's number one, right? That is also disadvantage of forecast. Number two is if your sales data is wrong, your sales revenue data is wrong, then everything will be wrong. So it's dependent on one thing, which is your sales data. So if your sales data are inaccurate, your budget will also be inaccurate. So you have to be very careful. You have to be immaculate with your sales data. Okay. Now, the setting of budgets, number three is the setting of budgets may also cause conflicts. Think about, let's say, the research and development team and the marketing department together has 1 crore together. Now, research and development team, they need to buy an equipment for 1 crore, or you can spend 1 crore for advertising for the marketing department. So there will be a conflict and they will be fighting. The reason I've written fight, because they'll be fighting for that budget. So there may be internal conflicts because budgets are limited, money is limited, and there will be a conflict within the department. Okay. Then we have, in order to create budget, it takes a lot of time. You have to spend a lot of time. Yes, with managers, with accountants. So instead of spending those time, you could spend up doing something else, right? So the time spent setting budgets could have been spent on other things. Okay, so that's disadvantage number 4. Sometimes when you set budget, you can become over ambitious. Entrepreneurs, managers, they may become over ambitious. Let's say I want to cut costs by 50%. It's not possible, but still, I'm very passionate. I'm very over ambitious, and I'm setting an unrealistic budget, and that's a problem. You have to be realistic. You have to look at the reality. So sometimes entrepreneurs, managers, they may become overambitious and they may set an unrealistic budget. Okay? And when you set an unrealistic budget that does not have to do anything with real life, your budget will become less useful. It'll become completely useless. So that's point number 5. Okay? Point number 6 is motivation. Now, if you don't include people in your budget, if you don't include everyone in the decision-making process, your employees will be demotivated. So that's point number, I think, 7. Yeah, and budgets can be manipulated. Like if you want to, let's say you work in the marketing department or the HR department, and you want to increase the budget of that department, managers can do that. You can manipulate. You can have greater influence. Okay. So think about that. So far, we've talked about the difficulties of budgeting. First of all, the first difficulty is it's based on past data. Number two, it's if your sales data is wrong, then everything will be inaccurate. Number three, you may have conflict between departments, and we've talked about conflicts. Conflict between the marketing department and research and development department. You can only spend 1 crore in one of these departments. Then what do you do? You have to spend a lot of time in setting budgets. That's number four. Number five, you can set unrealistic, over ambitious budget. Number six is, employees will be demotivated if you don't include them in the budget. Okay, if you don't consult with them. Number seven, budgets can be easily manipulated by managers. They have a greater influence. Probably a manager working in the marketing department will set a very easy budget so that it is easier for him or convenient for those managers to achieve. So it can be manipulated. And then you may also have different views. For example, I have a very nice picture here. This is my wife, and at the back you can see this is my wife's cousin. He's Shajib Bhaiya, and Shajib Bhaiya works for a very big group of companies. And I was talking to him on the phone, of a few days or a few weeks back, and he told me a very nice story. So I think he joined this company 2-3 years back. And he told me that, he works in the transport department. He's the head of transport department, if I'm not mistaken. So when he entered that company, that company was spending a lot on cars, on the maintenance of cars. So the head of department before him believed on the maintenance, believed on, fixing the cars rather than buying new cars. But then he has a different mentality. He told me that, older cars requires more maintenance. So every month you do have to spend a lot of money. But if you buy new parts, new spare parts, or simply if you get a new car, then you don't have to spend a lot in maintenance. Probably, you just have to service your car, and probably maintenance will start after 6-7 years when the car gets old. So you can see these two managers, these two people have different take on the budget. So when he entered the department, of course, the costs increased because Shajib Bhaiya was replacing all the spare parts, and I think he also got a few new vehicles. So when you replace parts and get new parts, when you buy new cars, your budget will increase. Okay, and the department questioned him, why did the budget increase? And he said, because we are replacing the cars, we're replacing spare parts so that the maintenance costs drops. And now he told me that there are no maintenance costs. Okay, so now you can see two people have different views. One believed in maintenance, one believed in not spending on buying new parts because that would increase the expenditure. But however, older parts, older cars will have more maintenance cost. And if you buy new parts, new spare parts on new cars, maintenance cost will decrease, but then your initial cost will go up. Okay, it happened same with me. I had an old car, and every month I had to spend 20,000, 30,000 on fixing the car. But when I got a new car, it's been 3 years or 4 years, I haven't spent anything on it. I just have to service it after every 3 months. Okay, so think about that. The views, your opinions may be different on budgeting. Right. Managers may also think about the last disadvantages. The managers may also think about short-term goals. For example, let's say think about a store. Okay, let's say a store has 10 employees. Okay, and you pay them 5 lakhs. So in order to cut the cost, you fired 3 employees and now you have 7 employees because you want to reduce the expenses. That's fine. But when you've reduced the expenses, that means there are also less employees, and that will reduce the customer service level because now you have few people. Yes, for the short term, you're reducing the cost. You had 10 employees and you used to pay, let's say, 5 lakh salaries. You've reduced the employees to 7 and you just pay 3 lakhs. So you're saving a lot of money, which is correct for the short term. But for the longer term, you have less employees, which also means that it will reduce the customer service level. There'll be less employees to help the customers. Okay, and there may be a dissatisfaction amongst your customers and consumers and clients. So sometimes budgets does not look at long-term objective; it looks at short-term objective. Okay, so yeah, we are done. It was a great class. If you have any questions, do not hesitate to comment down on the comment section, right? And we will take your questions. Yeah, thank you very much. If you haven't liked our page, go to Fyruz, type in Fyruz Education Services on Facebook and like our page. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, just type in Fyruz Education Services and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. I will be back again very soon. I will see you. Thank you very much.